The tilt is real. Tilt is real. This is when the tilt is real.
Welcome to another episode of The Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the chef's table, here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Tilt is Real Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Wednesday, September 29th. And man, if you guys are looking at my screen right now, I will pull it up. Here, wait. Solo layout right now, man. It is beautiful outside. And why not do a podcast from outside? I mean, everybody else does, right? No, we don't. Apparently there are problems in my neighborhood with the internet connection, and thank God for technology. I have a beautiful new truck, shout out Chevy, that has Wi-Fi. So why not do it from the bed of my truck? Chilling out here in the chef's truck today, not the chef's table, it's the chef's truck. Not join with me because, you know, I mean, obviously, man, maybe now we can take the show on the road. I just hop in the truck, I pick up Juan, shout out Juan. Shout out Mr. Swanson. I go pick up Mr. Swanson. We just drive around the neighborhood doing a podcast. I mean, that might be a little bit of fun, right?
That would be a first. That would be a first.
Podcasters and trucks spitting stats instead of comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
Turn and burn. Burn.
Chevy riding hot, boy. Chevy riding hot.
I mean, one of us has to drive, right?
I'll drive, Chef.
Yeah, we could ghost ride this SOB.
Mr. Swanson drives the show. I'll drive.
The fans drive the show.
I was just going to get that.
Justin and Eric in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Sorry about the delay on the pod.
Yes,
but
sir.
We've got a busy day, man.
I like the title. I like the title of the pod, Chef. 3-0 or 0-3?
Yeah, are you 3-0 or are you 0-3? This is episode 70, so why not shake it up a little bit? We're done with week 3. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any teams that are 0-3? Raise your hand if you're guilty.
Yes, actually I do. In one of our leagues that we have, the Outlast League, I believe I'm 0-3, and I have a stellar squad, so it's kind of bizarro world 0-3, and that team could easily be 3-0, just like the real NFL. Like the Chiefs could be 3-0 and they're 1-2 instead, you know, so it's a bounce of the ball here and a bounce of the ball there, and it's fantasy, and that's why we love it, and that's why you're here, so we can tilt and try to get in the right direction and still fix it. It's not time to hit the panic button, boys. 0-3.
I'm panicking on some players.
Not yet.
Oh yeah. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Swanson, how are your leagues doing 3 weeks in?
Well, what's up, guys? It is Wednesday, my dudes.
There it
I had
is.
to get that out there. I'm 3-0, 1-2, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, I believe.
So about 50% from the field. You're riding in the plus. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I am about the same. I'm either 2-1, 1-2 in most leagues. I got one league that's 3-0. Man, it's nice outside.
Hey, shout out Chaos, the Chaos League. I'm 0-3. Shout out Goats and Hoes with all the guys from DHH and Yake and Bake and Troy and Taylor and Corey and all those guys. I'm 0-3 in that one as well. Struggling in the Analyst League. Shout out Dave Kluge and Tyler Gunther and those boys. 1-2 in that one. So I'm in a struggle bus. I got a couple 3-0s in some other dynasty leagues because I built some good dynasty teams. But redraft, I'm hurting a little bit.
Long season.
Oh yeah, indeed.
You're gonna be all right.
It's a long season.
I'll see you in the playoffs.
There it is.
That's the motto.
We'll see. We'll see.
It is a long season.
All right. We had some stuff today. Let's see. We're going to do the waiver wire quick review of week 4 players of the week, rather. Maybe throw in some sleepers in there for those that are digging deep into the waiver wire. And then the Thursday night preview, we have a cat fight, the Jags and the Bengals.
Yes,
but
sir.
First, like we always do, we started off with the weekly reel, man, and there is some news to be had. Let's get into it.
Let's keep it real.
It's the weekly reel, presented by The Tilt is Real.
It's the weekly reel. Let me hear that news.
Now we're starting this out with the tweak of the week, and no, it's not. Well, I could put the internet on there, man. That thing's on the IR. I don't know what's going on there, but the tweak of the week for fantasy is obviously running back Christian McCaffrey dealing with a hamstring injury he sustained during Thursday night's matchup win over the Texans. Chuba Hubbard, next man up. We'll probably see a lot of him. He played 73% of the snaps after McCaffrey went down and saw 14 touches. I was thinking Royce Freeman might be a play there, but Chuba showed up enough that I think with the injury only lasting possibly 3 weeks, they didn't put him on IR. I think Chuba Hubbard will most likely get the majority of the work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right. If you drafted CMC, hopefully you had the foresight to also draft Chuba Hubbard, like this guy.
You did.
I mean, it's definitely it's a great piece to fill in, and it's really good news that CMC isn't going on IR. So it's just kind of like a couple week fill in. They play the Cowboys this week, and then they have who do they have after that?
I'm not sure who they have after, but this week you're firing up Chuba.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to start him. Like, he's one of those guys that this week you're going to have to find a flex spot for him. You're going to have to put a placemat for him because that offense is clicking, it's producing, and the Dallas Cowboys have been pretty bad on defense thus far. Right now they're 26 against in all yards given up. So they're going to give up yards, and you're going to be playing in a shootout type of scenario. And Chuba Hubbard's a dual threat guy like CMC, and he should get a lot of work this week. And I love him going forward. Like the next week or two, no matter what the matchups are, I'm going to be playing him until CMC comes back.
Yeah,
and
no,
Chef,
I agree with you there, man.
Chef, if you keep in mind, last season when Christian McCaffrey went out, we saw that he wasn't placed on the IR, and they just rode it out, and it was longer, and it lingered, and then they brought him back for a game, and then he ended up getting hurt. So just because they didn't put him on IR, because they're hopeful that it's just a hamstring and he's going to be able to heal in the next 2 weeks and maybe play, they also might just not want to place him on the IR. And with that hope, and still you end up seeing Chuba Hubbard for more than the 2 or 3 week period.
Oh, it's Dallas and then Philly, weeks 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And Philly's 26 against the run right now. They've been getting gashed a little bit on the run.
Yeah, getting hurt.
It used to be a strength of the Philadelphia Eagles, but now it seems like it's something that's given them a little bit of trouble. And a guy with that kind of speed filling in that offense, I think he's a good start for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, they play Dallas this week, Philly next week. Talking about sustaining injuries, Minnesota, the Giants, and Atlanta in week 8.
Yeah, if he's playing all those weeks, then you just got yourself somebody on the waiver wire that is going to carry your team and get you a couple wins here in the next couple weeks. I think he'll be able to put up some nice numbers.
Within that same breath, right here with Zach argue real quick for a tilt, Chuba or Gordon? Melvin Gordon.
Chuba or Melvin Gordon. I almost said Melvin Hubbard.
Broncos play the Ravens.
Give me Chuba this week.
Yeah, me too.
Give me Chuba this week, 100% over Melvin Gordon. I like Javonte. Yeah, the split work with Javonte, Chef, and we've been hammering this thing home the last couple of weeks where Pat Shurmur doesn't give anybody more than like 16 carries a game, so it's a limited game script as far as what Melvin Gordon is going to get with Javonte cutting into his work. And I feel like Chuba Hubbard just has all the upside in the world to put up not CMC numbers, but CMC usage, which is all you can look for in fantasy, is give me the guy that has a better chance of getting 20 carries and the guy that has the better matchup going up against the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm taking the Melvin Gordon side there. One more week of Melvin Gordon going up against Baltimore, the more experienced running back. We're seeing Javonte Williams get a majority of his snaps at the end of games. So that's junk time per se. And I think going up against Baltimore, they're going to go back and forth, and they're going to lean on the veteran Melvin Gordon here.
Break the tie, Mr. Swanson.
Ravens have given up 5 touchdowns on the ground so far this year, 178 yards, 21 receptions through the air for 197. Compared to the Cowboys, who are doing much better at stopping the run. So honestly, man, I hate to say it, I think I'm just going to switch back to Gordon there.
Okay. Zach, we tilted the other way. I like Chuba personally, but we're going to go with consensus on the tilt.
All right. In other news, injury reports, Broncos placed KJ Hamler with a knee injury on injured reserve. He will not be back at least for the next 3 weeks. Coincidentally, they go out and they sign David Moore, formerly of the Raiders, past that from the Seahawks. He was on the Raiders practice squad, and Broncos coach Vic Fangio already announced that Hamler will miss the rest of the season after tearing his ACL. So, man, he is done. Sad news for KJ Hamler. He showed promise in his second season, especially with Teddy Bridgewater as quarterback. But now Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick, man, they will headline the wide receiving corps for Teddy Bridgewater with Jerry Jeudy still out on IR.
Yeah, got to love Tim Patrick. We talked about him on the waiver wire hero sheet. He's been on that the last couple of weeks, and he's a guy that's been producing, and he's seeing his snap share go up from 70 to 74 to 76%. He's been getting more involved already in the offense, and now just look for him to have a nice lion's share of the targets. They're getting Baltimore, they're getting Pittsburgh, and then they're getting the Vegas Raiders. So those are three matchups where, like, the Pittsburgh defense is great, but where they can be had is in the secondary, and I think Tim Patrick can do work there against Baltimore. Likewise, he's the second guy, so he's not going to get Marlon Humphrey. He should have some success, and the Raiders have been, giving up points to the wide receiver like crazy. So Tim Patrick's a guy that I want to have based on this news. I already wanted him, but based on this news, for the next 3 weeks, he's one of those must-start flex guys until Jeudy comes back from the injury.
All right, moving on to trade talks and contracts. Now, we all know Tampa Bay has struggled in the secondary. It's out there. We know it. Every team that plays against them, we saw the Rams tear them up through the air. Deshaun Jackson, Van Jefferson, obviously Cooper Kupp. But I think it's because of Jamel Dean he avoided a serious knee injury this past week against the Rams, but they are in need. They make a move and go out and get Richard Sherman off the street. He is part of the team now. I guess that means that they'll be okay. I guess, right? It's Richard Sherman.
Do you think he plays?
If they need him to, I bet they do. I bet he does.
Yeah, they're going to work him in to the defense, and it's a good enough defense where they put enough pressure where Sherman can be successful because he doesn't have to cover for 4 or 5 seconds because those guys on the front seven are going to get home more likely than not. The problem is with Sherman, for fantasy purposes, when you see him on the lineup on the other side, you're like, let me start that guy because he will jump routes and he will make a mistake here and there, and he's not going to blanket cover anyone at this stage of his career. So for fantasy purposes, I like the fact that he's there. And it kind of, while it's going to help the Tampa Bay Bucks in general, for fantasy purposes, you're going to be able to target him and get some big production out of the guys that face him on a week-to-week basis.
All right, in other news, Marlon Mack put on the trade block. Agreement from Marlon Mack and the Indianapolis Colts. This boosts up Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines significantly, taking Marlon Mack out. We saw him get a couple carries in week 2, seeing that he is healthy. And he would be the first player to come back from an ACL tear after Adrian Peterson. Now, he is young. I believe he's still 24, 25. And I think he can land in a couple of spots around the league. Thoughts, maybe the Raiders. They like signing running backs. We already know that. It's
a week late because they got Barber. But, yeah, keep going where you're going. I like where you're going with this thought.
Atlanta's a good one. They definitely need a running back. And I'll just throw it out there. What about the Jets? I mean, the Jets, they don't know what they have in Michael Carter. They don't know Tevin Coleman, obviously,
he's out. He's injured, too.
And then Ty Johnson, he showed promise in the passing game, but they need someone that can run a good system. And I think Marlon Mack fits that RPO system that Robert Saleh is trying to put in there.
I don't hate it. On the Jets. I hate the offense in general. They have had injuries on the offensive line and haven't produced as of yet, but that's not a bad landing spot. Chef, it's a week late. Peyton Barber already came in for the Raiders. It would have been great. He would have been a perfect fit for that Raiders scheme. San Francisco on the phone? Are the 49ers calling him up? But right. There's definitely going to be interest, I think. What about the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah.
Over Myles Gaskin, I believe Marlon Mack at a UCF, Florida roots, like that makes a lot of sense for him to go to the Miami Dolphins and play there.
And the last one, and Zach brings it up, bring him to Philly. And I had mentioned this yesterday. He has the Nick Sirianni connection. So he already knows the kind of playbook that they would run. For him to be a complementary piece behind Miles Sanders, that is something we could see. We could see like
maybe we'll run the ball 4 times a game.
Yep.
He's so mad that they didn't run it more.
Then all 3 Philly running backs would be irrelevant, right? Great.
Yeah. They tried to do that in the offseason. They brought in Kerryon Johnson, and they thought he was going to fit that role. And they did it last year with Jordan Howard. Like the Eagles always seem to be trying to get that third running back that could play that role. And Marlon Mack does fit there, but I would hate to see it as a believer in Gainwell and Miles Sanders, especially with the matchups they have coming up. I like Miles Sanders going forward. So I would hate to see somebody coming in and cutting into his work.
All right, last but definitely not least, ESPN Adam Schefter reports free agent wide receiver Josh Gordon signed with the Kansas City Chiefs to their practice squad. The 30-year-old receiver most recently played for Seattle in Week 15 of 2019. Before joining the Seahawks, Gordon played 6 games for the Patriots, averaging 48 yards per game. Now, he is not going to look like Josh Gordon of old. But we don't really know what he's going to be for fantasy. I'm staying away from Josh Gordon personally. I know, Juan, you showed some interest. I saw you picking him up last week when the news came out that he was getting reinstated. But Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, they run that offense. CEH with the other addition with the receptions. I can't see Josh Gordon coming in and being anything more, sorry, Mr. Swanson, than Mecole Hardman.
No, I agree with you. I hate to say it, but now this takes my whole Mecole love and it just throws another grenade in that plan. So
the only reason I like it is in football terms. I like it in the fact that he's open on third down. If he's single covered, he's open more so than Byron Pringle, DeMarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman. Like he can win one-on-one matchups, and it gives defenses another thing to think about, and it's gonna free up Kelce, Tyreek, CEH out of the backfield, and he's going to have that third down importance like he did with Russ when he was in that short time that you saw him with Russ. It's 3rd and 6. I'm throwing it to Josh Gordon. Slant to Josh Gordon is uncoverable. Like you cannot cover it. And with Mahomes there and you having to focus on the other weapons, he might have a little bit of fantasy relevance. And Chef, I picked him up in a few leagues, but it's because my teams are struggling, and I'm trying to hopefully have a dart throw and base it on the fact that I'm old and I remember when Josh Gordon was a superstar. And on that offense, anybody who's going to be a primary target in any way, even if it's the 4th option, I'll take it.
I mean, if you're picking them up, hopefully you're not dropping a relevant player for him.
Correct.
If you're not doing that, if you're picking them up and dropping, like, say, a Tevin Coleman that's not going to be producing,
right.
I don't have a problem with taking a shot on any player that's available as long as you're not paying up or wasting a waiver bid.
Correct.
I'm with you on that.
Yep.
All right. That was the waiver, the waiver news. The weekly reel. I'm outside, man. I'm getting distracted.
It looks beautiful though. It's a beautiful day outside.
Thank God it's not raining. I would have been inside the truck, but
that would have been cool too.
I'm glad that I figured out something that can sustain some kind of internet connectivity. Let's get into some questions from the chat real fast. I see them in there. Swanson, you want to roll with them?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right back up here. Shout out Justin for
always. Yeah, it is. Look at
real quick here, Justin says, which defense? Packers, Dolphins, Bears, or football team? I like all of these matchups this week.
Give me the Dolphins. I already told him that.
Yeah, give me the Dolphins. I like that you did that, Chef. All right, let's go, Fins. Fins up.
I like that.
Yeah, Carson Wentz likes to turn the ball over, Dunny, and we've had created turnovers.
Pick on the Colts while they're down.
25 straight games the Miami Dolphins have created a turnover.
And they play good run defense. So I'm not really worried about the passing too much with Carson Wentz still banged up and the questionable receivers in that offense. I mean,
with great corners.
Michael Pittman might get some work in, but he's not going to break the bank for the Miami defense. I think they do just fine out of those 4 picks.
I like that.
All right. And real quick, Aurelio, welcome back. Is Conklin the real deal, or is he like a boom or bust? I feel like Conklin's looking pretty good right now with Dalvin Cook being out. I think he's definitely getting some looks.
I think you can he's definitely a roster and plug and play kind of guy. Not necessarily a weekly starter. It'll depend on the matchup. If the wide receivers have a tough matchup, then they may lean on Conklin a little bit more in the middle of the field. And if the running game is slow, yeah, they're going to that boost Conklin's game up as well. It all depends on matchup for Conklin for me.
He's one of those guys, Jeff, and we're streaming tight end at this point of the season, and you're going to be choosing between him and Ferkser and Kmet and Robert Tonyan and whoever else is available that you can go and grab. And he's been a decent play the last couple of weeks, and if the trend continues, and as long as, like you said, Dalvin Cook is out, he might see a little bit more expanded role in the offense. So I like Conklin.
Me too. All right, what else we got here? We got Justin wants to know, should he drop Fields and Kirk for Sam Darnold? Oh, should he drop Fields and get Kirk or Sam Darnold?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm not dropping Fields. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the analysis, but
I saw that on there. Yeah, I'm excited to hear what. Yeah,
I'm
just
not
hold on
out
to that
on
one,
Fields per se, but the way that Sam Darnold and
right,
Kirk Cousins
I would take
they're a better weekly fit than waiting on Fields to break out.
I like Sam Darnold over Fields. I historically have faded Kirk Cousins. It's just at some point, but right now it's fine because Dalvin Cook is out. But Chef, when it comes down to it, at a certain point during the season, it's 211 passing yards and a touchdown or maybe two, and no rushing upside. Dalvin Cook's getting all the work. Madison, you saw him step in last week. He scares me off a little bit because Mike Zimmer is going to be Mike Zimmer. So Sam Darnold, yes, I would take over Justin Fields, even the rest of the season, because I believed in Sam Darnold from the beginning of this year. I love him.
Yep.
But Fields is going to give you something in the next coming weeks. Rushing upside wise, as soon as they get things right, he's going to run the ball, and he's going to run it like anybody else that's been a running quarterback, like Kyler or Lamar or any of those good ones. He's a 4'5" guy, 6'3", 227 pounds. Like, he's going to give you work. So I would put Darnold, Fields, Kirk in that order. I do like Darnold, though.
I'm definitely going Darnold, Kirk, Fields, but we'll get to that.
100%. I'm not getting off. I'm not getting off.
Just to get on the Kirk Cousins thing real fast, he's currently sitting at QB6, okay? Even with Dalvin Cook in the offense, he put up 26 fantasy points, 31 fantasy points. He has 8 touchdowns already and has gone over 300 yards twice. The first week versus Cincinnati, 351 yards. I think Kirk Cousins can maintain low-end QB1 numbers for the rest of the season. I mean, besides this matchup going up against Cleveland this week, he gets Detroit. He gets Carolina with the banged-up secondary now. Dallas after the bye. Baltimore. Shootout with LA Chargers. That might be a little low. But not until the end of the season, in Week 16, where he faces the LA Rams, do I really have concern. So, yeah, I would definitely get rid of Justin Fields and get Kirk Cousins on your team. Not Christian.
So within that same breath, would you start Kirk or Russ this week?
Kirk or Russ?
Russ is a 3-point dog against San Francisco right now.
Give me Russ over Kirk.
Yeah, give me Russ.
I don't like that Cleveland defense, man. They're flashy.
Yeah. They're coming into their own, and it's going to take a while. We talked about it. It's going to take a while for the communication, for people to know where to be. A bunch of rookies that are real physical freaks that are in different spots that don't know the defense. New play caller and John Johnson at the free safety position, but they are coming into their own. And once that defense gets rolling, we saw Myles Garrett. He was chasing down Justin Fields last week, and he weighs 280 pounds. It's absolutely absurd.
100%.
Yeah, I love the Cleveland D. Yeah, I'll start Russ.
Sorry, Russ. Cool.
This week.
Let's spot this real quick. Justin says Westbrook, Gordon, Smith, or OBJ start 3, assuming Julio and AJ Brown are out.
Oh, he tried to tease that in there. You like how he did that? He's trying to make his boy Westbrook get in there, Chef. The Chef knows all about Westbrook, but
yeah, I'll put it out there now. He's my sleeper of the week, man. Good job, Justin, for finding him. Nick Westbrook-Akeen, second-year receiver from Indiana. With AJ Brown week to week with a hamstring injury, I mean, we saw Westbrook get an expanded role this week. 4 targets. He's caught almost all of his balls. Yeah, 4 for 4 for 53 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he now sees the Jets, mainly Bryce Hall, on the right side, where we just saw Tim Patrick beat the pants off of him, 5 receptions for 98 yards. Do I trust him more than Gordon, Smith, or OBJ? I don't think so. I think OBJ. I think OBJ would be a better player.
But you got to start
you got to
3.
start 3. So who's Devontae Smith? I'm assuming.
Probably.
Ooh.
I'm still going Devontae Smith, but Gordon again because I'm fading him a little bit, and I'm assuming it's Melvin Gordon that he's talking about, and not Josh Gordon because he's still on the practice squad. So Melvin Gordon, I would probably start Melvin Gordon over Westbrook.
Yeah,
but I
it's
might
the last 3 for me. I wouldn't put.
Yeah, I might take a dart
the
throw with Westbrook. If both guys are out, Chef, and you're playing against the Jets, somebody's got to do something besides Derrick Henry 40 carries. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to throw the ball to someone.
It'd be a good Ferkser game if he was actually playing. We're waiting on that to find out about Anthony Ferkser. But I'm not 100% on Westbrook yet. He's more of like a late round DFS flyer that you could throw in for cheap. As of right now,
I like it on Sunday morning.
Julio and AJ Brown are both out, then it's a different story. He gets a little bit of flex appeal, but he's still not over Gordon Smith or OBJ.
All
right. Okay, I'm right there with you.
Good dig though, Justin. Good dig.
Definitely. This one real quick here. J. Robert, Javonte Williams, PPR. I want to talk about J. Rob for 1 second because James Robinson obviously has had a tough first 2 weeks and then finally showed up last week. 15 for 88 with the touchdown and 6 for 6 through the air for 46, which is what I really want to highlight here. Next week he's going against Cincy, which is a tougher matchup.
Tomorrow.
Running backs. Yeah, tomorrow. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. 78.3 rushing yards a game is what Cincy's just holding running backs to. The touches here is what I think is really going to put James Robinson over the edge. However, there's another question down here that I wanted to address at the same time. Lucius said, welcome in, by the way, bud. Who's a good target if I wanted to get rid of J-Rob? I'm sure there are targets that you can look after, but keep this in mind here. After he goes through, after week 4 at Cincinnati, then it's Tennessee, and then it's against Miami, then it's a bye week, then it's another plus matchup with Seattle. There's plus matchups going down the pike, Indiana, San Francisco, week 11. Week 13 again. No, never mind. Week 15, 16, Houston and Jets, plus matchups right there. There's some good matchups going down the pike for James Robinson. I would like to hang on to him for a little while longer to see if the talent finally wins out. Hope. I just want to see I just hate when coaching diminishes good talent, so I'm hoping that Urban Meyer opens his eyes a bit after last week and utilizes James Robinson the way that he should be utilized. So if last week is a telling sign of anything, hopefully we'll see some more out of him this week. It's the touches for me. If they stay north of like 15 touches, I think he's good.
I'd love to see it so that his stock goes up, and then I'll move him. If I can move him for a different, more reliable starting running back on a better offense, I'm going to go that way.
Yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going
to wait because the value's still too low.
Yeah, exactly, Juan. I'm right there with you. I'm going to wait on the value to go up. I want to see at least one more game where he sustains that 15 to 21 touches that he had last week. If he could do that against Cincinnati, then you can try to sell him or even play him every week. I mean, he's still viable low-end RB2 on a weekly basis.
Yeah, he can be for sure.
You know, he doesn't really have too much competition in that offense. So I'd be hesitant to trade him away just yet.
Not yet. I'm not scared of Carlos Hyde. And he went from 11 to 14 to 21 touches, like you said, Chef. And if you're going to give me that, then let's keep that trajectory going up. And if he gets a game where he gets 25 touches, then move him. Then you can move him. Or, like you said, Chef, play him week to week. Put him in your flex.
Yeah, there you go. And Clap Nuts, welcome back. Do I trade Kelsey for Hockenson and DJ Moore?
I would.
Yeah, me too. At this point, because of depth and because of what we're looking at as far as availability from receivers and a bunch of different players, DJ Moore is on a really good offense and number one target on that team. Clearly, we've seen the struggles from Robbie Anderson and Hockenson. Chef had him as the number 3 tight end this season, and so far, so good. So, yeah, I would probably do that just because of need. You don't ever want to get rid of Kelsey, but need dictates.
I agree. Zach Argue wants to know Hubbard, Gordon, A-Rob, start 2.
I'm not benching Chuba against the Dallas Cowboys. You can do whatever you want after that, but I'm not benching Chuba.
I know we talked about Hubbard and Gordon earlier. I love the matchup for Gordon. I picked Gordon over Hubbard in that 2 pick here, but I'm going to go Hubbard. Wow, Hubbard and Gordon here. I'm worried about A-Rob. I'm worried about Fields. I know, Juan, you got something to say about it, and I know it is against the Lions, but I'm going to go Hubbard and Gordon here.
I'm not giving up on A-Rob just yet.
All right.
I'm going to go A-Rob and Gordon.
A-Rob and Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Fair enough.
All right, you guys want to move on to the next segment real quick, and then we'll get back into some questions?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Oh, wifey's here. The lovely Allie Crease says internet is back.
Hi, Allie.
Hey, I mean, I'm outside now. I'm already on here. I mean, I might as well just stay out here and enjoy
the breeze, Chef.
Enjoy the breeze, the sun, the trees, the wildlife, the sound of my muffler humming. You know, it is Chevy. It sounds pretty nice.
Only you hear it. We don't hear the muffler. We're good.
Oh, well, that's great then. I'm glad you guys don't hear it.
Yeah,
but,
don't hear that.
I was worried about that. So let's get back into it. So we have a Thursday night game. The Jaguars and the Bengals. We've been talking about it a little bit here. Some doubt around T. Higgins still in this matchup that concerns me. And for my player of the week, I'll slip it in here right now. My quarterback is Joe Burrow versus the Jags. The Jags have given up 18 fantasy points. I'm sorry, 23.5 fantasy points to the quarterback for each week. They're ranked 22nd against the passer, 935 yards, 4 touchdowns, and only have 1 interception. I think Joe Burrow smashes this matchup. He relies on the mix at Joe Mixon. Get it? Mixon.
Mixon, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, they're going to mix in. And I think Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd are both smash plays as well. You can match them up that way and stack them. Stack it up, baby. Stack it up. Yeah, I think Cincinnati is an easy win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars start 0-4.
Yeah, there's nothing easy in the NFL on any given Sunday or any given Thursday in this particular scenario. And I'm glad you mentioned him, Chef, because my wide receiver sleeper or play of the week is Tyler Boyd. And I love the matchup. I love what's happening there with the Cincinnati. And I love, most of all, what I love is his usage. Now, he only has 11 catches on 15 targets, right? For 109 yards in the last 2 games. So he's starting to come around after a rough week 1. But now that Higgins isn't there, you're seeing the production value spike. And what I love most is opportunity. He's getting 20% of the target shares in the red zone from this team so far this year. And he has a 26% target share overall in general. So while the volume hasn't been there just yet, he does have the opportunity going forward. And especially in a matchup like this where there probably isn't a CJ Henderson. And even if there is, he's going to have to stick Jamar Chase. You're going to see some attention paid that way. And they're going to have to crowd the box to stop Joe Mixon, who's been on a record pace this year running the ball. I think he's averaging 95 yards a game. So he's running the ball. I think Tyler Boyd finally gets to eat. And it's one of those big, like 8-catch, 60, 70-yard games where he might find the end zone. And he's a really, really nice play this week, Tyler Boyd.
I'm with you on the Boyd train, man.
Yeah, dude, me too. 100%. Just to reiterate here, too, to everybody with the J-Rob love, like I'm saying, hang on to J-Rob. I'm not necessarily saying if you can find a better start this week just because he's going up against Cincinnati, I might try to find a better spot this particular week, but I'm saying don't get rid of him yet.
I like him this week. I don't hate him this week. He's got to be in the top 20 as far as matchups and opportunity this week based on what we saw last week with the 21 touches. I really do think he could have a really good game. Thursday nights, you tend to see teams play it close to the vest, run the ball, don't try to get cute, and especially a team that's been losing, like the Jaguars have been losing. I feel like they might give James Robinson a little more work than what you're thinking. I know you're right to temper expectations, Mr. Swanson, but I wouldn't say temper them as much as you are. Like if I can start him in my flex, I would definitely start James Robinson this week.
A flex, yeah. Sure. Yeah, in a flex position, sure.
I mean, are we targeting any other wide receivers? Are we looking at DJ Chark in this option? Are we looking at Marvin Jones?
Yeah, I like all of them.
Yeah.
Because if what you say is right, Chef, and we feel like it's a win for the Bengals, the Jags go to 0-4, what kind of game are we looking at? And if the game gets to the point where you have to throw it all the time, it doesn't matter who you're playing against or what the thing is. The script is going to say lots of targets for DJ Chark, lots of targets for Marvin Jones, and lots of targets for Laviska Shenault, because you have to try to keep pace with the Cincinnati Bengals, so who should be leading in this game based on the way they played the first 3 weeks. So I don't mind any of those guys as plays for the week.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to play them, I mean, I wouldn't be hesitant to either. I don't have any Marvin Jones stock.
Wait a second.
In my portfolio. What?
It's a revenge game for him too. Oh, shout out Jeff Bell because it's a what?
We can't do that. We can't play James Robinson in the flex because it's Thursday. You got to pull those Thursday night players out of your flex.
You're right.
So
You're
that's a
right.
judgment call to make for Thursday here.
Put him as a running back and flex out your running back that you were talking about. Put him in the flex if you have a really good running back as your RB2.
Yeah, we've seen Cincinnati, especially in Week 1 up against Minnesota, I believe it was. They let the Minnesota Vikings just pass all over them. Shout out Kirk Cousins again. And I think Trevor can get at least 2 touchdowns into the end zone via the air, maybe one with his legs this week. That'd be nice. Still waiting to see that. But yeah, I love the matchup. I think it's going to be an exciting Thursday night game. The whole season, we've had these primetime games where we don't think that they're going to be good matchups. We saw Houston last week really show up in a sense against Carolina and play their best that they could. And it was at least exciting to watch.
Yeah. That's what all we can hope for a Thursday night game is make it interesting, make it close, and be fantasy relevant. That makes it good for a good Thursday night game for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anything else on that Thursday night game?
No, I don't think so.
No.
We can roll right into more of our picks of the week if you'd like, or answer more questions, whatever you want to do.
This one just pops up. I want to bring this up. Lee Shakur, welcome back in. Wants to know, should I trade Nick Chubb for DK Metcalf and OBJ? He's in a 10-man full PPR league, and he has Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Hopkins, and CD.
Then no.
Ooh. No,
I wouldn't, because I don't like what I'm seeing out of JT here, man.
Not yet out of JT, right? Yeah. Especially with the high ankle sprain to Quentin Nelson, and whether or not he's going to be able to give it a go and how healthy he is. Wentz hasn't looked great. The offense in general, I would be able to start Chubb and Kamara every week and flex Jonathan Taylor, and still I don't need those 2 other receivers. If I have Hopkins and CeeDee Lamb, I think I'm okay at receiver.
Yeah, I'd be okay. I'd be okay with that. I mean, if you wanted to try to sell Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, if you can get DK for Jonathan Taylor, I would probably do that.
Yeah, I would probably do that, but I wouldn't give up Nick Chubb right now. He has the possibility. I called him as my running back 3 for the season, in the beginning in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to continue. Sure. He's going to continue to run, and we haven't seen the Jonathan Taylor that we saw last season at the end of the year where he really broke out. Maybe with Marlon Mack getting traded, maybe not. I mean, Nyheim Hines fits that glove with Carson Wentz passing dump downs constantly to Nyheim Hines, and that kills Jonathan Taylor's fantasy upside. So I'm a little hesitant on Taylor still. I really want to see it, but I wouldn't get rid of Nick Chubb, to answer your question properly.
Nice. And I don't know if we got to this one with Justin. He said James Robinson or Javonte Williams this week.
J-Rob.
I would go J-Rob.
Okay, cool.
Much as I love Javonte, J-Rob. It's his backfield. You got to go with the guy that is his backfield. And Cincinnati still, the Bengals
he's going to get the full share. He's going to get a full share.
Cool. All right.
I like this one. Can we push this one? I'll push
this. Yeah. Can
go for it.
Nice.
Do you guys have any advice for me with my receiving group? I have Evans, Robbie Anderson, Woods, Allen Robinson, Sutton, and Edwards. Yeah, try to take 2 and sell for one big one. Try to get another piece. Right now, you're seeing you have some iffy wide receivers in the fact that Bobby Trees hasn't produced. Cooper Kupp has taken over that wide receiver 1 role.
Yeah, man.
Allen Robinson, shaky with the quarterback play, even with Andy Dalton supposedly being his best quarterback in his career. Matt Nagy is ruining that system. Cortland Sutton is a bright spot. Edwards is hit or miss.
Yeah.
So I would probably try to package like either Edwards and Woods or Edwards and Robbie Anderson and try to get a better receiver. That's what I would do, Eric.
I would do that. I'll go one step further, Chef. I'd take Edwards, Robbie Anderson, and Allen Robinson and Robert Woods and try to get one more guy to go with Sutton and Evans, who I would keep as my 1 and 2 right now.
Right.
And try to get myself a nice solid 3-piece to run my lineup. I would, at this point, I'd be willing to do that.
You know, maybe you could take Allen Robinson or Robert Woods and Edwards and Robbie Anderson and go after DK Metcalf on the low right now.
Find a team that has 2 good wide receivers and lacks depth and trade them a decent piece and the depth that gets you back one of those top 2 wide receivers that they have on their team. That's how I would probably approach it.
I like that advice a lot. You guys said it right there.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't have said it
We
better.
tried to. We tried to.
Ooh, I just threw my screen all the way to the back end. There we go. Real quick here, do we think Tim Patrick is a good prop bet to score a touchdown?
It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one.
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say sure. Like why not?
I mean,
yeah,
against Baltimore, sure. He's already got 2 this season. He's getting the snap percentage. Like he hasn't seen under a 70% snap percentage this season. So as long as he's on the field, he has a chance. With KJ Hamler out, he may have more of a chance. And yeah, I'm down with it. I mean, I wouldn't bet it hard, Justin, but I would definitely bet it.
Yeah, you're not putting the mortgage on it, but go for it.
Jumping back up to Zach here. Gaskin or Melvin Gordon this week?
Gaskin or Melvin Gordon?
It's tough. Gaskin's got a pretty decent matchup. I don't hate the matchup against the Colts this week. But I'll go Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't trust the Miami offense with Brissett at the helm, man. We just don't know what's going on. He looked
Gaskin had like 13 for 65 last week. Which isn't really a bad game, but it's not something that's gonna bring you home a win. And he flirted with that 10 points that we like out of a flex or an RB3 type guy like Gaskin. But I think Melvin Gordon is going to be the guy this week and have a decent.
Yeah, give me Melvin Gordon over that. I agree with you, Juan. I agree.
Nice. And then within that same Miami breath, Lucius wants to know, he has Will Fuller, but he sees Tim Patrick and Emmanuel Sanders on his wire. Yahoo Standard League with short benches.
Yes. Drop. Pick up either. I would go either Tim Patrick or Emmanuel Sanders. Take your pick. Sanders will probably be longer for the whole season. Will Fuller, I mean, as much as I know Juan, he's your boy. But with Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball, we don't know what's going on with that offense. He's competing with Jalen Waddle for targets. I think Emmanuel Sanders, his production has been solid lately. And obviously we already shared our love and affection for Tim Patrick today. I think either of those is a better option than Will Fuller as of right now.
It's a shame, Chef, because I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with Tim Patrick for sure. Yeah,
wow.
It's not that he's my boy and that I love Will Fuller. When he went out last year with the suspension, he was the wide receiver 6. But last year he played with Deshaun Watson, and now he's playing with Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, isn't scared to throw it to him deep. And he's fighting for targets with Waddle, who's probably going to get more because they want to use him in a bunch of different ways. But the deep shots are still there to be had, and he will take some shots to Will Fuller. But I think it's too hit or miss when you have a guy like Tim Patrick who's going to produce for you week in and week out, at least until Judy comes back and maybe rest of the season. I'll take Tim Patrick. Emmanuel Sanders, not so much because I still love Gabe Davis, and I think he'll be involved in that offense, sooner rather than later. But yeah, I would go Tim Patrick and then Fuller and then Sanders.
Speaking of Emmanuel Sanders, on the other side of that wide receiver core, Stephon Diggs, my wide receiver play of the week, going up against Houston. He gets Vernon Hargreaves. I mean, do we have to say anything more? We keep picking on
once you say Hargreaves
guy for over a year now,
and
it has just come to fruition. Stephon Diggs getting all kinds of targets. 10 last week, caught 6 balls for 62 yards. Didn't get into the end zone, but I think that changes against Houston here. I think he's heavily targeted, and Stephon Diggs is my play of the week. I'll just throw that in there now and knock it off.
Big DFS guy for me. This week.
I'll jump into one of my plays of the week too, and that's Zach Moss on that same offense.
Right on,
Just watching him last week, like from what I saw, I was like, okay, and then it was like, okay, like yeah, I was like, oh, all right, and there's still that, is it Singletary, is it Moss? Sounds like it's a little risky, but just from the eye test against the Washington football team, it looked great. 13 attempts for 60 yards, 3 for 3 through the air for 31 and a touchdown. So now he's got 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks. I could see him going for another one this week against the Texans. Texans have allowed 315 yards and 315 on the ground and 2 touchdowns and 15 receptions for 143 and 1 to the running back position so far this year. That translates to roughly 153 yards per game to running backs, 5 yards per rush, and 9.5 yards per reception. Those are bonkers numbers.
They are bonkers.
Most importantly, Mr. Swanson, and I'll piggyback on you for Zach Moss because Juan knows I'm a Zach Moss truther. Shout out Ball Blast. We all are there.
That's true.
His snap percentage was at 56% against Washington. We saw Singletary's snap percentage drop to 43%. When you see Singletary's usage go down, Moss production will go up. I think it continues throughout the season. if Zach Moss is available in any of your leagues, go and pick him up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's only played 2 weeks, but he's averaging 17.3 fantasy points in PPR through 2 weeks. Got to ride that hot hand, man.
Yeah, man, it's gonna get hotter. You watch. This is his
I
year.
believe it.
Yeah, speaking of hot hands, that's why I went with my running back, and I went with Chuba Hubbard as my running back. As my running back play. Pretty obvious, CMC, the usage that you're going to get. Super fast guy, and there's guys that are going to have great weeks this week. You're going to have Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon. Like, those are guys that are going to play, but they're already obvious, and they're already in your starting lineups. But Chuba Hubbard's a guy that you can definitely go out and grab and try to get him in there. I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard as my running back. It's pretty simple. He's replacing CMC. I don't have to go crazy into that.
Yeah, I'll just keep running with it. I guess the plays of the week, since we're there already. I'm taking the running back that's playing and starting for the San Francisco 49ers. Let it be Elijah Mitchell or let it be Trey Sermon going up against the Seahawks. I'm just picking on the Seahawks here. They're ranked worst against the run, allowing 39 fantasy points per week. They've already given up 413 yards on the ground and 248 yards in receiving to the running back position. What does the San Francisco 49ers like to do? Pass the ball to their running backs. Those little screen plays that their running backs just take off. We've seen Raheem Mostert do it 100 times. I think Elijah Mitchell, after a week sitting on the bench with his shoulder, comes back in the fold. I really think it's Mitchell's backfield. And we'll probably see a little touch and go from both of them. But either one, I believe, if you want to take your shot on one of them, Elijah Mitchell would be for me is my play of the week for San Francisco. My running back, baby. Let's go. It's Mitchell.
Yeah, they're dead last in points allowed. They're 30th in rushing yards allowed. So on the ground, 49ers give me whichever running back is starting. The tough part is going to be tilting on Sunday morning.
Which one it is? Correct.
Yeah,
which one it is?
Sunday morning tilt. We'll see you guys on Sunday.
You talked Justin Fields as your play of the week, Juan. I talked a little bit. Yeah, hit on that because I want to talk about that real fast. So you go ahead. Yeah,
what I like out of Justin Fields is this. There's a myriad of reasons, and not all of them are specifically related to the fact that he's 6'3", 227 and runs a 4.5 40, and he's a freak athlete and all that stuff. This is a week where it's going to define things. Either Nagy is the first coach fired because he doesn't make the adjustments necessary to move the pocket, call play action, call RPO, roll the young man out, use his legs as an advantage. If he doesn't do that this week against Detroit, then when? Like, if not now, when? So it has to be this week. It feels like a make or break type of game where hopefully they game plan this week, and they're going to face the Detroit defense. And Detroit's defense is terrible, right? They're allowing 100
very good.
Right, 114 yards a game. They're the 31st ranked defense. Like, all the things that you're saying. They lost Jamie Collins this week, who wanted to trade, but they ended up cutting him. So you're down a linebacker. You're already down your best cornerback at the beginning of the season in Jeff Okudah. So what are we doing as far as the Detroit defense? I think that this is a great week for Justin Fields to finally find a way to throw a touchdown pass, probably to segue Cole Kmet this week, because they've been giving up yards to the tight end a lot too. Detroit's weak everywhere as far as the defense. And I think that 114 yards rushing per game that they're giving up doesn't all go to David Montgomery. And I think you see enough scrambling out of Justin Fields to solidify a floor. That rushing upside is what I'm banking on. And that terrible, terrible Detroit defense. That's what I'm hoping for with Justin Fields. It's more like I'm bullish. The talent is too undeniable for me to accept that what we saw last week is what we're going to see. And if we see that again, it's not going to be on Justin Fields. It's Nagy got fired, and now a new system is coming. Because even Nick Foles, Mr. Swanson, your guy, Nick Foles, that won you a Super Bowl, he was on the sideline, and he said clearly, this offense isn't working. So who's that on? The rookie quarterback who's just doing what he's told in the headset, or the guy scheming it up?
You're definitely right. I'll agree with you on most of that. The one thing that I look at is it's obviously Nagy. It's the system. That's the problem.
Right.
Now, type
if
of
their
problem.
defense cannot stop the Lions, their game script goes out the window, because now they're relying on an offensive scheme, playing in a negative game script, and they're forced to throw the ball, which they don't want to do. His offensive game scheme is to run the ball with David Montgomery. Have a little bit of a play action. That's it. He's not looking to take deep shots with this quarterback. And that's the problem. And that's really why I'm a little down on Justin Fields. He'll play better if he was playing street ball, running the way he wants to run. We saw it in week 1, those developed plays for Justin Fields. I was talking to Dave Kluge about it last night. Why did we see him do so well in week 1 with the 8 snaps that he got with a touchdown? And I believe he went 4 for 5 in week 1. And now we see him falter. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If he fails against the Lions this week, you're right, Juan. They're going to have Matt Nagy's head on a spike.
He's got to
be out the door. But I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields fails. You may see Nick Foles come in because Fields did struggle playing from behind last week and trying to throw the deep ball.
Which is a shame, man. You got Darnell Mooney and you got Allen Robinson. You should be able to throw the ball. Cole Kmet's an athletic tight end. You have David Montgomery, who showed last year he can catch the ball out of the backfield. That offense should look more like Kansas City 2019 or 2018 when Nagy was there than it does we saw last week. But not to discredit the Cleveland Browns, who played a phenomenal defensive game, and Myles Garrett played out of his mind. And Detroit has no one on their defense that would start on the Cleveland Browns defense. Not a one. Not a one of their players.
Swanson, let's keep it going here, man. I want to know your wide receiver of the week, man, because you stole him from me, and I saw him on the sheet, and I'm like, man, Swanson's getting his game up here, man. Looking for the big plays. And go ahead, man, sing it. I want to hear that Swan song, bro.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start doing a segment every week on Wednesdays where Mr. Swanson's Swan song, and it's just gonna be that unsung guy, that guy that you can scoop up that might really just like make things pop for you and win you a week. And this week for me, it's Jacoby Myers for the Patriots, man. He's already got 29 targets. He's obviously Mac Jones' go-to receiver right now. Last week, what was it, 19 receptions, or is he total 19 for 179 on the season right now?
Pretty much.
Yeah, right. So they're probably going to abandon the run game early here with this revenge game going on. And I think those opportunities are going to go up. No James White. That's kind of where I feel like a lot of this is going to come into play. Opens up a lot more for pass catchers. And, the Bucs really can't cover the slot with their corner depletion. I would just be looking for that volume. I mean, okay, so at the same time, this whole news about Richard Sherman signing to the Bucs, it's like, all right, well, does he play this week? And if he doesn't, it's Carlton Davis, Ross Cockrell, and Jamel Dean, I think.
Jamel Dean
who's banged up.
Who's banged up, right? Yeah. So if he doesn't start this week, I'm still not really all that concerned about Sherman. He's not the Richard Sherman of old. It's not something that would scare me away enough. And right now the Bucs are allowing the most fantasy points a game with to the wide receivers with just around 62 points, and the most touchdowns with 7. So I just see the arrows pointing up for Myers right here. And this stat too, what I love about second and third year wide receivers is when they really start to kind of come into their own. And in 2019, he had 26 receptions for 359 yards. And in 2020, he had 59 receptions for 729 yards. That's double, almost exactly. His catches went up, they more than doubled, and he missed his doubling his yards by 11 yards. I love seeing that trend, and I think that's just going to continue. Yeah, that growth. I mean, he's 12.36 yards per catch right now. There's a lot to like about Jacoby this week.
Yeah, I'm on the train with Jacoby Myers as well, man. Tampa is worst in the league against the wide receiver. Him and Nelson Aguilar, I believe, Juan, we put Nelson. Did we put Nelson?
No,
Aguilar
you put Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne, Chef, because he wasn't owned at all. Put on. We put Kendrick Bourne. But all 3 wide receivers should see some semblance of success. And if you have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, what are you going to do? You're going to want to run the ball, and you're going to throw it to the tight end or the slot to keep the throws close, to keep it simple reads. And Jacoby Myers is eating out of that slot. Mr. Swanson, you hit it on the head. It doesn't matter. Jamel Dean's hurt. You're not going to see Richard Sherman. You're going to have replacement level corners outside of Carlton Davis. So if Carlton Davis takes Kendrick Bourne or Nelson Aguilar, look for the other 2 guys to be able to have an opportunity to succeed this week. So I really like that Jacoby Myers play.
And who do you guys got for? We've covered all wide receivers, right, for our players of the week so far.
Yeah. I had Boyd. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Chef, yours was Diggs, I believe.
Yes, it was Diggs. Tight ends. I'll just jump in right here. The tight
Go
end
for it.
for my play of the week is Kyle Pitts. I think he comes alive against Washington football team, man. They're struggling against the tight end. Not so much struggling, only allowing 12.6 fantasy points. But I'm going to pick on John Bostic, the linebacker, a little bit. He is looking suspect. All right. I see the fact that what's his name? Russell Gage is out of the offense. We know Kyle Pitts is more of a wide receiver, and Washington is stinking it up against the wide receiver, allowing 54 fantasy points per game. I mean, we saw the Giants do well against them. We saw other teams do well against them. Give me Kyle Pitts this week for a comeback play, and have no fear. He's going to be at the at least in the top 6 in tight ends this week.
I like that. Not too bold. I mean, it's bold, but we've been waiting for it.
Right.
Like the anticipation is so real. Like it needs to happen.
I'm not going to put it out there as a hot take and say he's going to be tight end 1. It just doesn't make any sense. Not with the talent spread out around the league, but I think he gets in the top 6 and he gets you a viable fantasy production for the week.
I dig it.
I like it. Yeah, me too. Juan, who do you got?
Yeah, my tight end is Cole Kmet. I'm stacking. Okay. I'm doing the cheap DFS stack, and I'm doing Fields and Kmet against the Lions. Again, I'm going to pick on the Lions. Guys, we loved a few tight ends coming into the season. Everybody loves George Kittle. Everybody loves Robert Tonyan. Everybody loved Mark Andrews. All of their best games this year were against the Detroit Lions. Like the games that they did great. Tonyan hasn't done much of anything, but he did have 3 for 52, and it was his only good game this season, and that was against the Lions. Kittle went 4 for 78 in week 1, and that was his second best game. That was against the Lions. And Andrews finally gave you something last week. He went 5 for 109 against the Lions. So give me the starting tight end who, first of all, his snap share has gone up to 92.9% in week 3. It's been going up steadily every week. And now with Justin Fields, what are you going to, again, rookie quarterback, what do you want to do? Run the ball, target the tight end, maybe the slot, keep things simple. So I feel like Cole Kmet has a chance to get more than 5 targets this week, more than 5 catches, and maybe find his way to get in the end zone. I'm going to pick on the Lions because they've given up points to the tight end 3 weeks in a row.
Swanson, who you got at tight end, brother?
I'm going with Pat. I'm going with Pat Fryer.
I like it.
There's a lot of. I feel like it might be. I just want to highlight some things here because I think that if you can grab him or if you can start him this week, might be a good one to do it. O-line troubles in Pittsburgh. Ben needs a safety valve, man. He's not looking like old Ben. I mean, last week, 19 targets to Najee Harris. That is absolutely insane. You got injuries all over the place, and that's probably why there's no Deontay. There might not be any Juju this week. You saw Claypool take a ton of hits and then come back in, but you could tell that he's not exactly waking up feeling like a spring chicken every day. It seemed like that whole offense ran through Najee, and also, not for nothing, Pat, three receptions on 5 targets for 22 and a touchdown. That's a great fantasy day for a guy like him, and I think that continues. He also did score against the Bengals, who are 7th best versus tight end, only allowing 6.8 fantasy points a game, and they're going up against Green Bay, who's given up the 3rd most to fantasy tight ends right now, with 3 touchdowns through the year and 19.9 fantasy points a game to the tight end position. Give me some of that share. Yeah, sign me up for that right away. He's in rookie season, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 82 yards. I like it. I think it's going to be a good week.
It's so dope, Mr. Swanson, that you picked Freiermuth, because rookie tight ends rarely have success, especially when they're trying to knock off an incumbent tight end like Eric Ebron, who's been a staple of this league and a fantasy regular guy that you're always streaming and talking about. Yeah. And Freiermuth took over for him. So you got to love that. And then we knew he was going to be good coming out of college. We just didn't think he was going to get that kind of usage. But with the depletion of Big Ben's throwing power, you saw that the 19 targets that you said to Najee is absolutely bonkers. And he's going to have to spread that around a little bit. And Freiermuth, without Deontay Johnson, probably, like, that's going to look really good. And maybe Juju, too, who has bruised ribs.
Yeah.
So targets up for Freiermuth, and that's a fantastic sleeper tight end stream option.
All right. Let's finish this podcast with a couple more questions. I see Danielle in the chat. She's got one. Shepard, Galladay, Ayuk, Parker. Pick one.
Shepard.
Why is she playing you this week?
I don't know. I just want just Shepard.
No.
No,
I did that last week.
That's not a real take.
Shepard's a little banged up.
That's a joke. I know. That's why it's not a real take. That's a joke.
And
I'm just messing with
Galladay
Danielle.
has 2 A's in it, no I. But I'm picking on Danielle there a little
Happy
bit. Shout out.
Galladay. Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Future Pena, Mrs.
Yeah.
Future Mrs. Pena there.
Yeah. Boo Boo. Kenny Galladay is going to have himself probably a tough matchup against Marshawn Lattimore. And those Saints, Shepard's been a little banged up, like the chef said. I can't trust Ayuk whatsoever. Oh my God, are we in a world where Parker against David Rhodes?
Caught a touchdown last week, Brandon Ayuk.
Let's start Ayuk then.
Yeah, I'm going with Ayuk.
I don't like Parker versus Xavier Rhodes, and I don't like Galladay against Lattimore. And Shepard's a little banged up. I think I might go Ayuk, and they're going to turn. They're playing Seattle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if we're picking on teams, let's pick on the Seahawks.
That's
Trey
right.
Flowers going to be more on Samuel. He's going to get. Are you going to see more of like a DJ Reed?
I hope you do get Flowers. It doesn't matter with Ayuk, as long as the offense is clicking right and they throw the ball to him, give him the opportunity. He'll eat anybody alive on that defense.
One last question from Justin, and then we'll wrap it up. He says, in my Superflex League, should I pick up Dalton, Mac Jones, or Mills and drop Westbrook, Bourne, or Marshall Jr.? I wouldn't drop Marshall Jr., but I would definitely go and pick up Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think I pick up Mac, especially the rest of the season. You can never have enough quarterbacks, Superflex situation. You never know what team loses their QBs and gets desperate and trades you a starting running back or wide receiver for a guy like Mac Jones that you might not necessarily need to play week in and week out. So, yeah, give me Mac Jones. I like Davis Mills too, but give me Mac Jones.
Right on.
And I like this too. I just want to say this just from our reporter in the field here. In case you missed it on Sunday, Justin shared that the Texans' stance on trading Deshaun Watson has softened, where they weren't even returning phone calls from teams in camp. That has now changed. As for teams to him, Miami makes the most sense and probably has the best chance to pull it off if a deal gets done.
Fins up.
Thank you, Justin.
Fins up. We need him. Listen, with Deshaun Watson, we go from to a really tough out in a playoff game. We become a really tough out. Defense travels. Deshaun Watson's skill set travels. If he's allowed to play and he gets down to Miami, wheels up, I think we can make a run.
I love it.
All
we got to
right,
wrap the show up here real quick, but I do want to say real quick from everybody, what's up, Kicks from Mike? Thanks for stopping in.
Mike.
And LeBron's brain, I welcome in.
Welcome in.
We got to help him right here. Should I start Juju or Higgins, wide receiver 2?
Both hurt. Sunday morning, 11:30. We'll get the news. We'll go live at 10. We'll weigh out the options, but you can't start Higgins because he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
If Higgins plays tomorrow, go
wheels up. Wheels up, right? Wheels up.
Monitor
if he
that
plays,
news.
I like the matchup. I don't like Juju with Big Ben all banged up. Deontay Johnson's supposed to be coming back this week. I'd rather play Higgins if he plays. If he doesn't play, then you have to rely on Juju banged up.
True.
Or a better option somewhere else.
Yeah, Deontay with a bad knee scares me off a little bit, but if Juju's ribs are banged up, all it takes is one hit for them to get worse or for him to be sidelined for a significant amount of time. They may not use him or they may use him sparingly, while if they go Higgins on Thursday, go Higgins.
Justin says, quick if you can, Watson or Fields, one QB.
Oh, Fields. You got to bird in hand.
Yeah, I'll take the bird in the hand right there. All right, we got to get out of here. Chef?
Yeah, you can find me at FF_chef on Twitter. What's today? Wednesday. I do not have any more shows until Sunday. You can check out all my material, my content over at Ball Blast Football. I write Dynasty Football for them. Sundays, I do the Dynasty Happy Hour with Doug and Tyler. And Tuesdays, check me out at Coming Off the Edge, 7 p.m. Eastern, for a different kind of fantasy show.
Best show in fantasy.
Fun, sporadic, spontaneous chaos. It's great. And obviously Tuesdays with Juan for the Waiver Wire show. And just a quick pick. I got to share it. We didn't share it on the screen. Go look at the Waiver Wire Hero every week. Waiver Wire Heroes. There it is. I'll show it real fast. Juan and I work on this every Monday night for Tuesday morning. We put it out so fast. We beat ESPN. We
sure did.
CBS.
Let's go.
We beat
Let's go.
NFL. We beat K. Adams. Shout out K. Adams. I love K. Adams.
Shout out
on
K. Adams.
On Good Morning NFL.
Good morning, football.
Good Morning Football. But hey, that is live on the internet at thetiltisreal.com, all our social media platforms. And once again, you can find me at ff_chef. Hit me up, DM me if you have a question for fantasy. Until next time, peace.
And you can find me at FFJohn, JAWN Swanson. Just want to thank everybody again. Justin, Lucius, LeBron's Bane for coming
Brad.
in. For Mike. Love the lovely ladies, Ali and Danielle for popping in. Zach, Brad. Am I missing anybody? Eric Brewer. Thank you guys for driving the show as always. Guys, I hate to bring this up. We got a tilt on Facebook this week. It was a trade tilt sent by a fan. So yesterday, it's let me pull it up right here. All right, so it's from Brian Strong.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's basically he sent us his team, and he said he wants to run something by us. He is absolutely getting crushed in one of his leagues, and his team is the first one he'll post. He wants to make a trade with the guy right below him. All right, so he's got Prescott, Robert Woods, Cortland Sutton, Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle, Chase Edmonds as a starting lineup.
Nice.
And then he's got Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Tyler Higbee, and Robbie Anderson as his opponent, and he wants to make a trade. Do we think he needs to make a trade? Because I don't.
No, I don't think he does.
Okay. So, Brian Strong, if you are on right now,
Hold.
I'll definitely send you a message back to say hold. But if you're listening, wanted to put that out there just so you knew that we were on it. But again, find me at FFJohn, JAWN Swanson. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see y'all on Sunday.
I'm Juan Carlos Pena. You can find me at FF One of a Kind. I'll see you guys on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for the Tilt is Real. Enjoy your games tomorrow night, the game tomorrow night. Make your lineup decisions. DM me if you need any kind of personal advice. A lot of you guys that are in the chat already do, and I'd be happy to say that to you. And what is this?
Pull those Thursday night players out of your flex
and put them in their regular lineup. Yeah, their regular spot.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you at 10 a.m. like Juan said, for the Fantasy Football Sunday Tilt. Get those tilts in. Peace. We out.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our website at thetiltisreal.com for more great fantasy football content. We'll catch you guys next time on The Tilt is Real.